What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how to become unrecognizable in 180 days. This is a full blueprint. This is for anybody who's tired of incremental change and ready to completely reinvent themselves, their body, skills, mindset, environment, and social circle within the next 6 months through a systematic, no excuses transformation blueprint. This is something that I've personally used several times in my life. Anytime that I'm not exactly where I want to be or who I want to be, I implement this, and I've used it to generate millions of dollars in business and to create a life that I'm actually proud of. So, in our overview, we're going to be going over identity architecture, neural regeneration, physical optimization, social influence, psychological fortification, reinforcement loops, action item breakdown, and then finally the review. So let's get right into it. The only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible, and that's by Arthur C. Clarke. Identity architecture. This is where we're going to break down who we are currently, because we need to understand who we are now in order to understand our foundations. Most people spend their entire lives trying to improve the person they currently are. They try to make the broke version of themselves slightly less broke. They try to make the out of shape version of themselves slightly less out of shape, and that's the trap. You can't upgrade a broken foundation. You have to tear it down and rebuild it from scratch. If you're reading this, you're probably not happy with who you are right now, and that's not an insult. It's just reality. If you were satisfied, you wouldn't be here, looking for a complete transformation. Dissatisfaction is the first ingredient of change, and that's why if you're dissatisfied, that's actually something you can utilize and leverage. Look at yourself honestly, not the version that you tell other people you are or the one you pretend to be, not the one you tell your friends you are, the real you. There's a distance between who you are and who you want to be, and most people spend their entire lives pretending that this gap doesn't exist. You're here because you're done pretending. Your current identity is a prison. Every habit, every thought pattern, every relationship you have right now is reinforcing the person you've been. And that person got you here, to this exact spot, reading this, wanting more. And that should tell you anything, everything. Who you want to be isn't about goals. Goals are outcomes. Identity is about becoming. What do they look like? How do they move? This person that you're becoming, you don't want to get fit. You want to become the kind of person who is fit. You don't want to make money. You want to become the kind of person who creates wealth. And there's a huge difference that we're going to break down. First, I want you guys to imagine your future self. Close your eyes and imagine the version of you that exists 180 days from now. What does this ideal person look like? How do they move? How do they speak? What's their energy like when they walk into a room? This isn't a fantasy. This is architecture. This is something that you need to be super specific about, because we're going to create this ideal person and then reverse engineer our way there. Your future self has a different body. Not just thinner or more muscular, they're different. They carry themselves with certainty. Their posture is different, their eyes are different. People feel their presence when they speak. Your future self thinks differently. They don't negotiate with themselves, they don't second guess, they don't spiral into doubt. Their mind is a weapon, not a prison. Your future self is also surrounded by different people. Higher caliber, more ambitious, more aligned. The conversations are different, the standards are different. The entire social ecosystem has been upgraded. And so here's why this matters. Most people skip this step and they jump straight into, well, what do I do? What do I actually tactically do tomorrow when I wake up? What steps should I implement? But if you don't know who you're becoming, every action is just noise. You need a target, a North Star. Clarity creates pool. When you're crystal clear on who you're becoming, decisions become easy. Does this action move me towards this identity or away from it? It removes the ambiguity between decisions. Instead of deciding, do I do this action, you ask yourself if this action aligns with the person that you want to become. Identity also overrides willpower. Willpower is finite, identity is infinite. Right now, it doesn't take willpower for you to naturally take actions in correspondence with your identity, because that's your baseline identity and you act in accordance with that. Identity is infinite. When you are someone, you don't need to force yourself to act like them. The actions flow naturally from who you are. Embodiment begins now. There's no need to wait. This is the secret that nobody wants to admit. You don't become the new identity after 180 days. You become it on day one, and you reinforce it through the next 179. You start acting as if you already are that person. Not fake it till you make it, become it until it's undeniable. The first 10 days are about declaration. You're drawing a line in the sand. You're telling yourself and the universe that the old you is dead. You're not improving, you're replacing. Write down who this identity is. Be specific. I'm someone who trains 6 days a week. I'm someone who reads for 2 hours daily. I'm someone who speaks with authority. I'm someone who creates value. Write it in present tense as if it's already true. Then speak it out loud, not in your head, but out loud. There's something about saying something out loud that actually puts it into the universe. Then you're going to act from this root identity you've created. Every decision you make in these first 10 days, ask yourself, would the person I'm becoming do this? If the answer is no, don't do it. If the answer is yes, do it immediately. Create a one-page profile of your future self. And so I've actually created a document with these action items. If you guys want to create your own document, feel free to do so, but I've created this 180-day transformation blueprint for you guys to fill out, and it's just in correspondence with these actions we're going to go over. First, I want you guys to write a 3 to 5 sentence description of who you are right now. Then list what you're dissatisfied with and what you refuse to tolerate anymore. Describe in depth your 180-day future self. Write down 5 traits your future self embodies starting today, and write down 3 identity statements beginning with I am someone who, fill in the blank. And so you guys are going to fill this out, and this is about who you are now, where you're standing, where you want to go, and this is essential for getting to where you want to be, because without proper direction, you're not going to know exactly how to get there. The next section is on neural regeneration. So let's be honest about where you're starting from. This is most people, most Gen Z, anybody under 30 growing up in this generation, we're probably cooked. Your brain is fried, dopamine receptors are shot, attention span is destroyed. We can't focus for more than 90 seconds without reaching for our phone. And you're not broken, but you're severely compromised. Every notification, every scroll, every like, every video, every game, every easy pleasure has been training your brain to crave and expect instant gratification. You've been conditioning yourself for years to be unable to do hard things because there's so many easy things at easy disposal. And so it's important to understand what dopamine is, because most people mistake it for the pleasure chemical, when in reality, it's the motivation chemical. So it makes you want to move, to act, to pursue. When your dopamine system is healthy, you feel driven. When it's broken, you feel nothing. And so this is really getting to the root of most people's issue and why they have no discipline, is because your baseline dopamine is in the trash. You need constant stimulation just to feel normal. Without your phone, without entertainment, without distraction, you feel anxious, restless, empty. And that's not who you are, that's who you've become. Your brain is in this deprived state. You can't willpower your way through a neurological problem. Your brain is a physical organ. It has receptors, chemicals, pathways. And when these are damaged, no amount of motivation will save you. It might save you short term for a day or two, but long term, it's not going to do anything. You have to heal the hardware before you can upgrade the software. Every action you take, every goal you pursue, every hard thing you do requires dopamine. So dopamine, what you need to understand, is the fuel. When your tank is empty, you're running on fumes, and that's why everything feels hard. Right now, your dopamine receptors are downregulated. You flooded your system with so much artificial stimulation that your brain has reduced the number of receptors to protect itself. You need more and more stimulation to feel less and less reward. And so what you guys need to understand is that fundamentally, our body likes to keep things in homeostasis. When we've been feeding our brain so much dopamine artificially and easily, and we know we can expect it whenever and wherever, then our brain turns the sensitivity of these receptors down. And so here's the solution. The only way out is through. You have to starve your brain of artificial dopamine long enough for it to heal. This is not optional. This is not negotiable. If you skip this step, everything else will fail, and nearly all your other goals will probably fail because you won't have discipline. And so this is going to suck, but it's probably the best solution out there, and that's the 30-day dopamine fast. For 30 days, you're going to eliminate every source of easy dopamine from your life. No social media, no porn, no video games, no Netflix, no YouTube, except maybe educational content, but that could be a slippery slope. No junk food, no alcohol, no drugs, nothing that gives you pleasure, and here's the key, without effort. And so here's kind of what you guys can expect throughout that timeline. Days 1 through 7 is what I call hell week. It's going to be brutal. You're going to feel anxious, irritable, restless. You're going to want to quit. I promise you, you're going to want to quit. Your brain is going to scream at you, and this is withdrawal. Just like people are addicted to heroin, and when they come off, they're literally itching, they don't know what to do. That's how you'll feel. You're going to grab for your phone, and when you realize you deleted Instagram and Snapchat and you have nothing to do, you're just going to put it back down. And you're going to habitually grab your phone, and you're going to be like a junkie that's just getting off his drug. You might have headaches, brain fog, mood swings. You're probably going to be irritable. Your body is recalibrating. And so it's important to not fight it, but to sit with this discomfort. Boredom, emptiness, purposelessness. You're going to feel like there's a hole in your chest. And honestly, that should be a sign to you that, man, I had a problem. Like, I was really addicted. Days 8 through 14 is what I call the void. And this is where most people quit. Initial motivation is gone. Discomfort is still there. You still haven't regained any motivation. You're still not feeling any more driven, but you're super bored. And it looks like there's no way out. But I need you guys to embrace boredom. Boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is actually the reset button. When you're bored, your brain starts looking for real stimulation, real challenges, real growth. Let yourself be bored. Every time you want to reach for your phone, notice it. Don't judge it, just observe. I want to check Instagram. Acknowledge it. Let it pass. Cravings are literally just thoughts in the neurotransmitters within your brain. Around day 15, something changes. The fog starts to lift. You feel more present, more alive. Colors look brighter. Conversations feel deeper. You begin to actually be able to speak to someone, and you're not super bored. You might be actually genuinely interested in other people. And you begin to actually find meaning in things that you might have not found meaning in before. You'll have what I call natural motivation. You'll feel motivated to do things, not forced. Natural drive. You'll want to go to the gym. You'll want to create something of meaning. You'll want to build. This is what a healthy dopamine system feels like. And this is where you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Days 22 through 30 is the new normal. By week 4, your baseline is established. You don't need constant stimulation anymore. You can sit in silence and feel at peace. You can do hard things and feel energized by them. You've reset. During the 30 days, you can still do things that require effort. You can train, you can read, you can work, you can create, you can have real conversations, go for walks, meditate. Anything that requires you to be present and engaged is allowed. If it gives you pleasure without effort, it's banned. And that's the general rule of thumb. You don't want to reward your brain without having done any work. After the reset, it's super important that you don't just go back into old habits, because within a few days, your dopamine can go back to its old baseline and you'll be back scratching for discipline. And so this new baseline is something that you need to maintain. You'll be able to focus for hours on end. You can delay gratification, and you can finally do hard things without negotiating with yourself. This is what will separate you from 99% of people. So the action items will be: choose your 30-day dopamine fast, start date, and write it down. List everything you're eliminating for 30 days. Write out the withdrawal symptoms you can expect during days 1 through 7. List 5 effort-based replacement activities. And write your post-reset rules for reintroducing stimulation after 30 days. And again, guys, I'll share this document. This is the section on neuroregeneration. You're just going to want to fill this out. We'll go over it at the end. But the reason why you want to write out the withdrawal symptoms you expect is because once you understand that you're going to expect this boredom, this itching, when it happens and when you're in the moment, you're not going to feel like, oh, something's wrong. You're going to actually understand this is what's to be expected, and you're going to be able to move forward from there. The next section is about physical optimization. Remember, this is about transforming in 180 days. So you're not going to just do this by thinking certain things. You're going to actually become certain things, and that includes the physical. The body mind connection is real. Your brain doesn't exist in isolation, it's connected to your body. When your body is weak, your mind is weak. When your body is strong, your mind is strong. This isn't metaphorical, it's biological. When you change your internal state, your external reality shifts, but the reverse is also true. When you change your external state, your body, environment, actions, and internal state shifts. You can't separate the two. And this creates a feedback loop. Your posture affects confidence, confidence affects posture. Diet affects mood, mood affects diet. Everything is interconnected, and to think otherwise is severely naive. Health equals performance. You can't perform at a high level with a low performing body. Your brain needs oxygen, nutrients, sleep, and movement. When you neglect your body, you're handicapping your mind. This is why you don't put junk fuel into a Ferrari. What I want you guys to focus on as far as exercise go is, yes, weightlifting is important, but VO2 max is the highest correlative metric to brain performance. VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen your body can use during intense exercise. It's the single best predictor of longevity and cognitive function. The higher your VO2 max, the better your brain works. Your brain is 2% of your body weight, but uses 20% of your oxygen. When your cardiovascular system is efficient, your brain gets more oxygen. More oxygen means better focus, better memory, better decision making. To increase your VO2 max, you need high intensity interval training. Sprint for 30 seconds, rest for 90, repeat 8 to 10 times. Do this 2 to 3 times per week, and your cardiovascular system will adapt accordingly. Your brain will in turn thank you. In addition to high intensity work, you need low intensity state cardio. You can't do HIIT all the time, so sometimes you need lists. Walk, jog, bike at a pace you can hold a conversation. Do this for 45 to 60 minutes the other days that you're not doing the HIIT training. Now, the brain also needs a certain diet. What you eat directly affects how your brain functions. When you realize that your brain is made of fat, you need to understand that it needs quality fats to operate. It needs protein to build neurotransmitters. It needs micronutrients to regulate processes. High protein, moderate fat, low carbs. This is the brain optimized diet. Now, I'm not going to say it's the best for bodybuilding, okay? But what we're after is changing the identity and changing the mental, okay? And it's also not terrible for bodybuilding, you know? Focus on whole foods: meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds. Eliminate processed foods, seed oil, sugar, alcohol. Your brain will function at a level you didn't know was possible. You're going to want to get your omega-3 fatty acids, proteins, and micronutrients. I recommend just taking a multivitamin, and you'll probably get most of what you need from that. Hydration. Remember, your brain is 75% water. Even mild dehydration impairs cognitive function. Drink half your body weight in ounces of water daily. So if you weigh 200 pounds, drink 100 ounces. It's rough math. Try to stay around that range. Add electrolytes to your water if you're training hard. One tip, and this is something that I do all the time, is fasting for mental clarity. Fasting is one of the most powerful tools for brain optimization. When you're not digesting food, your body can focus on repair and regeneration. Your brain enters a state of heightened clarity. Eat within an 8-hour window, fast for 16 hours. This is what most people know as intermittent fasting. You can shift that 8-hour eating window around, but I like to do from 2 to 10, or 2 to 8 would be ideal, a 6-hour window and an 18-hour fast, but you can play around with that. The biggest thing for me is to skip breakfast. You don't have to think about what you're gonna eat. You don't have an early morning crash, and your brain actually runs better when you're fasted. You're gonna be using stored fats instead of carbs. Your brain will be sharp, focused, clear, so use this time for deep work. Once per month, you can do a 24 to 48 hour fast. This amplifies the benefits. It kind of resets things. Your growth hormone spikes, insulin sensitivity improves, your mental clarity reaches levels you didn't know existed. And so in this fasted state, what you can do is deep work. And deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. Your physical state determines your capacity for deep work. If you're not properly conditioned physically, then you're not going to be able to do any deep work. So, this is a deep work protocol you can follow. Not necessarily the only one, but this is one. Train in the morning, fast until noon, work in 90-minute blocks with 15-minute breaks. No phones, no notifications, no distractions, just you and the work. Keep your environment clean, minimal, and quiet. Everything in your workspace should support focus, so that means get rid of the phone. And you're going to want to create a ritual. Same time, same place, same routine. Your brain will learn to enter deep work mode automatically. And instead of taking 30 minutes to hit the flow state, you might end up only taking 10 minutes. The action items for this section will be to write your weekly training schedule for the next 30 days, define your fitness/health goals, write down your fasting window, your start and end time, list 3 physical daily non-negotiables, either a step target, protein target, water target, training target, and create your deep morning ritual for fasted focus. The next section is going to be going over social influence. And this is something that you've all probably heard, which is you are your 5 closest friends. Now, this isn't a metaphor, this is the law of averages. Your brain is wired to mirror the people around you. Their habits become your habits. Their beliefs will become your beliefs. Their standards will become your standards. And you might be strong-willed, but you would at least have to acknowledge that their habits will definitely influence your habits. When you watch someone perform an action, the same neurons fire in your brain as if you were performing that action. You literally absorb the behavior of the people you spend time with. You don't consciously decide to adopt someone's speech patterns, body language, or mindset. It happens automatically. This is when you start using your friend's slang or your friend's hand gestures or just anybody you know. So look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their average income, fitness level, mindset, habits are a preview of who you're gearing up to become. If you don't like what you see, you need to make changes within your circle. And this is something that I bring up that most people don't understand, which is that your 5 closest friends aren't just the people you see in person. They're also the people you follow online. Every piece of content you consume is programming your subconscious. So if you follow someone's books and you're reading their books all the time and you do that 2 hours a day, that's essentially like spending time with someone else's mindset and behavior. That counts as one of the 5. So if you're always watching comedians, or you're watching Alex Hormozy online, or you're watching certain influencers, those people count as part of your circle because you're spending so much time with them. So that's something you really need to consider. You're going to want to unfollow everyone who doesn't reinforce your desired identity. Unfollow the complainers, victims, mediocre, people who are where you follow people who are where you want to be, and unfollow people who are where you don't want to go. People who embody the identity you're building, that's who you need to follow. Your social media feed should be a reflection of your future self. Every post should inspire, educate, or challenge you. If it doesn't, unfollow. And honestly, that's if you're even keeping social media. I would recommend getting rid of it as a whole because you're going to be on the dopamine fast. So this is if you're watching educational YouTube, only subscribe to the people that you want to become like. You can create a new YouTube channel so that you have a new algorithm that's not infected with your old interests, and really begin to curate this social circle online. So during days 30 through 90, this is when we're going to be doing the social shift. When you're actively rebuilding your social circle, you've reset your brain, you started optimizing your body, now you need to upgrade your environment. Make a list of everyone you interact with regularly, at least 10 people. Next to each name, write a +1, a 0, or a -1. And this is how we're going to be not ranking people, okay, but kind of listing them in terms of how close they get you to where you want to go. We're going to cut the -1s. This is non-negotiable, and this is probably the step that most people will say, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, if that's you, then you're never going to be where you want to go, because that's probably the one of the people that's closest to you, and they're going to be the number 1 person dragging you down. Anyone who drains your energy, doubts your vision, or pulls you back into your old identity has to go. You don't owe anyone access to your life. Neutral people aren't bad, but they're not really helping. Reduce time with them, be polite, but distant. Maximize and increase the ones. Spend as much time with people that challenge you, inspire you, and hold you to higher standards. These are people that help you to where you want to go. And if you don't have any ones, you're going to need to find new ones. Join communities, masterminds, gyms, groups where your desired identity is the normal. Surround yourself with people who are already living the life you're building. And so sometimes you have to pay for something like this. You're not just going to get it automatically, but you have to pay for exclusive access. If that means going to a higher end gym, that's $100 a month instead of $20 a month. I'm telling you, it's worth it if you can find these plus ones. The action items for this section are to create your list of positive, neutral, and negative friends. Choose one negative person or environment to cut this week. List 3 positive environments where you can find people. Write your digital diet rules, who/what you're unfollowing, and schedule 1 weekly social exposure to higher standard people. This next step is probably the most important step, and that's psychological fortification. And so this 180-day transformation that we're undergoing or about to undergo, this first few sections have been about how to reset. This next section is about how to actually maintain and build and expand. Your environment, your goals, your daily actions, and everything need to be aligned with who you're becoming. Misalignment creates friction, alignment creates momentum. The alignment audit says to look at your life, your apartment, your car, your clothes, your calendar, your bank account. Does everything reflect the person you're becoming? If not, it needs to be changed. The first part about becoming who you want to be and having this transformation is to establish identity-aligned goals. Most people set goals based on what they think they should want. You're going to set goals on who you're becoming. These are identity goals, not outcome goals. Instead of saying, I want to make $100,000, it's, I want to become the person who makes $100,000. Instead of saying, I want to lose 20 pounds, it's, I am the kind of person who is lean and strong. When you frame goals as identity statements, your brain stops seeing them as external achievements and starts seeing them as internal truths. You're not chasing, you're becoming. Take your identity goal and break it down into daily actions. If you're the kind of person who creates $100,000, what do you do every day? If you're the kind of person who's lean and strong, what does that look like on a daily basis? These are the actions that, if done correctly and consistently, make your identity inevitable. Write them down, do them every day without exception. Setting up small wins is crucial to this transformation. Your brain needs evidence that this new identity is real and that it's not just something you're saying. Small wins provide this evidence. Every small win reinforces the belief that you are who you say you are. And this goes into a neuroscience idea called the winner effect. The winner effect is a phenomenon where winning increases testosterone and dopamine, which increases confidence in the likelihood of winning again. It's the idea that winning once helps your odds of winning again, which in turn creates this perpetuating cycle. And so you're going to want to start with small wins so that you can build up momentum. Make your bed, do 10 push-ups, get up early, read for 10 minutes, whatever it is. Each win releases dopamine and builds momentum, and that's the key. Build momentum and stack wins. As you accumulate small wins, your confidence grows. You start taking on bigger challenges, and you win those too. The cycle then accelerates. Every night, write down 3 wins from the day, no matter how small. I trained. I didn't check social media. I got up on time. I had a hard conversation. Your brain will start looking for wins to add to the list. And the reason this is important is because we're going to manufacture our own self-perpetuating positive flywheel. A flywheel is a mechanism that stores energy. The more you spin it, the more momentum you gain, the easier it becomes to spin. Your life can work the same way. Small wins create confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. Results create more confidence. And the wheel just keeps spinning faster. The first few spins are the hardest. You're building momentum from zero. This is days 1 through 30. This is the dopamine fast. But then there's a tipping point. Once you've built up enough small wins around day 30 through 60, the flywheel starts to spin on its own. Getting up early becomes second nature, becomes just part of who you are. By day 90 through 180, the flywheel is spinning so fast that stopping it would actually take more effort than continuing. You've become unstoppable. And so by this time frame, going to the gym is actually harder than going to the gym, because going to the gym is just part of who you are. And the action items for this are going to be to write 3 identity aligned goals. I am the kind of person who blank. Then you're going to define 3 daily non-negotiables tied to those identity goals. Then you're going to write 3 small wins to trigger momentum. And these are going to be small wins that you can use at any point in time. If you're going through a hard time, you know that when I do 10 push-ups, that's a small win and it helps me get going. Then you're going to list 3 points of misalignment in your life to eliminate. Set a weekly review question set. What aligned, what didn't, what changes, and how did I win? The next section is about reinforcement loops. This is about reinforcing the identity that you've created and are becoming. Language shapes reality. The words you use to describe yourself become who you are. If you say, I'm trying to get fit, you're not fit. In the sentence itself, it insinuates that you're not at the goal. If you say, I'm someone who trains, then you are. Eliminate trying, hoping, wanting, and replace with I am, I do, I create. Speak in the present tense as if the identity is already true. The voice in your head is either reinforcing the new identity or the old one. Pay attention when you catch yourself speaking to and about the old identity. Reframe and speak from this new identity that you've worked so hard to create. How other people talk about you matter too, and how you talk to them matters even more. When someone asks you what you do, don't downplay it. Don't hedge. Don't say I'm trying to get in shape. Say I'm in shape. And if they judge you, they're probably one of those negative ones that you needed to cut out. And this goes back into the social circle. This social circle is a reinforcement loop. If your friends are still living in your old identity and they still refer to you and your old identity, they're going to pull you back. So good friends will actually reinforce the new identity and the person that you're trying to become. Every conversation, every interaction is either reinforcing who you're becoming or who you were. And it's important that you choose the interactions that reinforce who you are becoming. Your physical environment is also a constant signal to your subconscious. If your apartment looks like your old identity and it looks like the type of apartment that your old person would have, then that's going to reinforce the old person that you were. You need to redesign your environment by cleaning, organizing, upgrading. Remove anything that belongs to the old you. Add things that reflect the new you. Your environment should make the new identity inevitable. Put reminders everywhere. A note on your mirror, a photo on your desk, a quote on the wall. Every visual cue reinforces the identity. Actions are the strongest reinforcement loop. Every time you act from the new identity, you're casting a vote for who you are. Every time you act from the old identity, you're casting a vote against yourself. So you need to understand that every action you take is a vote. And no action is too small. Even the smallest actions matter, and usually those matter the most because we think that they don't matter at all. The old identity is waiting. This isn't something that is buried and is never to be seen again. This is something that you have to fight hard against to not go back to. Days 90 through 180 are when most people relapse. They've made progress, they feel good, they think they can relax, and this relaxation is actually the most dangerous part. They let one old habit come back in. They convince themselves, it's okay if I start doing this again. My whole life will fall down a spiral. But the problem is, it's not that one habit. The problem is, it's that what that one habit says about who you are. And it says that you're the old person that does that habit. And then you fall into that old identity. So you need to stay vigilant. This is a lifetime commitment, not from day 1 through 180, but all the way up until day 10,000. You're constantly reinforcing who you are through language, friends, environment, and actions. The action items for this section are to rewrite 3 old identity statements into new I am identity language. List 3 things to remove from your old environment and 3 things to add. Choose your daily vote for the new you action. Identify 1 social reinforcement that must be changed or upgraded. Place 1 visual reminder that you will see daily to reinforce the new identity. Now, let's go over the final review to cap everything off. One thing that's important to understand is that this blueprint isn't theoretical. By this point, you've rebuilt the foundation of your life across identity, brain function, physical state, social environment, and psychological frameworks. You didn't chase motivation, you architected a new operating system. We went over identity architecture. We defined exactly who you're becoming, eliminated the old identity, and began acting from the new one on day 1. You wrote it down, you spoke it out loud, you built the blueprint for your next 180 days. Neuroregeneration goes over us resetting our brain. We starved it of cheap dopamine. You reclaimed your attention span, your motivation, and your ability to do hard things without negotiation. Your baseline dopamine levels rose, your mind sharpened. Then we went over physical optimization. You built the body that matches the identity. You trained with purpose, you elevated your VO2 max, you optimized nutrition, fasting, hydration, and deep work. You connected physical performance with mental clarity. Then we went over social influence. You upgraded your environment. You cut the people who reinforce your old identity. You curated your digital diet. You found positive people and eliminated negative people who didn't elevate you, who didn't challenge you, and who didn't reflect your future self. Then we went over psychological fortification. You turned your identity into evidence. You created daily wins. You built momentum loops. You aligned your goals, routines, habits, and environment with the identity you're stepping into. Finally, we went over reinforcement loops. We created the invisible system that keeps your identity locked in a place. Language, environment, relationships, and actions. You learned that every action is a vote, and you've been voting for the new you. The final truth is that becoming unrecognizable in 180 days isn't about luck, talent, or motivation, but it's about identity. It's about choosing who you become and backing that choice with action so consistently that the universe has no option but to rearrange itself around your new standard. Most people won't do this. They'll watch the video, feel a spark, feel slightly motivated, but then end up going right back to the identity that's been holding them hostage for years. Now, I'm asking you guys to not be most people. You're here because something inside you knows you're meant for more. And so that feeling within you that you're meant for more means the transformation has already started. Not in 180 days, not in 30 days, not next Monday. It started the moment you decided the old identity was done. The moment you wrote down who you're becoming. The moment you actually started watching this video. Day by day, decision by decision, vote by vote, nobody will notice at first. Then one day, they won't even recognize you. And the best part is, you won't recognize your old self either. It's in your court. You have the blueprint. You have the system. You have the timeline. Now you have a choice. Do you go back to who you were, or do you build the person you were meant to become? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found a little bit of value. Comment if you guys are going to be starting this 180-day transformation, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.